Hi there. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel to thrive and to grow, and it's completely free. So this is a continuation of videos in a series that I started a while back, in which my intention was to cover all the planets and various astrological points one by one in Trump's chart, indicating all the problems that he's facing in 2024 through these individual positions. And you will see in the playlist that is shown in the description of this video that already published are posts in which I talk about Eris, the black moon, as well as Chiron and the lunar nodes. And you can, if you rewatch those videos, they're all difficult for Trump in different ways. Here I'm going to talk about Pluto. And first of all, Pluto in his chart is a planet that is rising in Leo. In some house systems they would put that in the 12th house. I use the whole sign system, therefore I read it as a rising planet, and I believe that the whole sign system best reflects the way Pluto functions in his chart, because he doesn't hide his domination issues, his domination strategies, his domination speech, literally. He loves to talk about dominating, controlling, as well as an open display of authoritarianism, where he'll say on TV, without thinking about it twice, that he would be a dictator on day one. So this is the Pluto. Pluto is the lord of the underworld, and among many meanings, a key meaning is precisely that. It's the idea of male energy projected in a really powerful way, all the way to domination and even terrorism. And the thing, of course, about planets is that they have a range of operation, so that they can be very positive on the high end. Pluto there is a phenomenal force for transformation and change. And in a person's life, short of a situation where they might be very old and sick, in which case Pluto would be the transformation into the next domain, all other transformations, when Pluto pays you a visit in its transit, are very, very useful, because they will help you mutate from one state to another. And this is very real. I can account for it in my own experience 100%. It's a very useful planet on the high end, and then other areas that Pluto connects to in a positive sense would be, for example, therapy, psychotherapy, psychiatry, where again change is accomplished from one level of mind/body to another, or such things as the introduction of vaccines, which came in the 1930s concurrent with the discovery of Pluto, which again have saved a lot of lives as a result. But then on the low end, as I say, it connects to the overuse of power, domination themes, abuse, excessive force, etc. Pluto also, by the way, rules nuclear power. So now in Trump's chart, it's rising. It's therefore an important and powerful planet. And in 2020, it was definitely a problem for him. That was when it was back in Capricorn, together with Jupiter and Saturn, that triple conjunction that correlated with the pandemic throughout the whole world. But in Trump's chart, in degrees that were very problematic, because it was opposing his Venus-Saturn conjunction in the 12th sign, and that led, among a number of other things, to his loss in 2020. Now in 2024, it has moved forward a little bit. It's a slow-moving planet, 250-year orbit, so it has moved forward so that it reached the very beginning of Aquarius, and yet even now is still doing the very last stint in Capricorn, from September to late November, in the very end of Capricorn. Where it is at election time is distinctly disadvantageous because those very late Capricorn degrees are doing a 150-degree angle to his ascending degree. This is a classic health and well-being aspect, and it's actually extremely dangerous to health and well-being because it's transiting through his sixth sign, which is the house/sign of health. It's probably also correlated with what just happened to him, the second assassination attempt, because Pluto is Pluto. It's a death energy, and if you put an angle toward the ascendant, which is connected to the body, can definitely show up that way. This year, earlier, it also spent some time in the very early degrees of Aquarius, but that also isn't helpful to him because what it did is it did a station at around 2 degrees Aquarius, which does a square and a half to his Uranus. When you're doing squares and then level below that semi-squares, or what are called sesqui-squares, which are a square plus another half square, those are stressful aspects and have correlated with all the problems he had, the legal arena where he found himself in court, convicted, and then the late Capricorn part of this 2024 year, as I say, is also very disadvantageous to him. And when Pluto leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius, it'll take quite a while to reach the 8-9 degree range. You're talking about later in the decade because Pluto is so slow moving. His problem is that the degrees from the beginning of Aquarius all the way to about 9-10 degrees are placing semi-square, sesqui-square pressure on his sun and moon. This is also a problem and forecasts upcoming problems, not just now, but in 2025, 2026, 2027, etc. But in the meantime, the biggest issue he has to deal with is that he goes into election night with Pluto in a very difficult spot, a spot that is in no way going to help him win the election. Is yet another factor that is broadcasting what is certain to be a loss in early November 2024. Something else I'll tell you about Pluto is that here, so far, you've seen transiting Pluto, meaning where it is today, and seeing what it's aligning with in his original snapshot of his chart in June of 1946. But there are 2 other levels that I intend to make separate videos on where Pluto is also active, namely in progressions and in solar arcs. Look for those sometime before the election as well, because they add further information to the picture.